So Natsu got a new form in Fairy Tail Energy's quest in chapter 148, and that really divided the community in multiple different opinions and thoughts on the transformation. For one, I think we all agree this new form looks very cool. But on the other, a lot of people say that this is an asshole and came out of nowhere and is very much not deserved. And it makes no sense. While others say it's very cool, and it does make sense. Obviously, I am in the portion that says that yes, this transformation does make sense. However, the reason why many do believe that this doesn't make sense, or if this is just an ass-pull, is because the execution and reveal of this was poorly done. And I don't think even people who are saying how good this transformation is can say that the execution was well done and well built up for this form. But that's what I'm going to get into with this video. I'm going to tell you guys how this form makes sense, and overall why the execution doesn't work, and how it could have been a lot better. But before we get into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and want to see more Fairy Tail videos in the future. I was going to wait for my very last Fairy Tail Friday video where I just talk about the most recent chapters of the manga all at once and talk about my opinion on this form, but I figured it warranted its own mini video to really dive deeper into my thoughts and to not make that future section basically too long and overtake the entire review video. But with all that out of the way, let's get right into the video. So, what is the setup for this form basically coming out? Well, Natsu got off screen, as we saw from the previous video that I did with chapter 146. Natsu got off screen by Duke, and it was revealed that his Dragon Slayer magic was taken. However, in the chapter that this form came out in, Duke said he took Natsu's fire magic. And this is where things kind of start with the argument of things not making sense. Why would Duke only take Natsu's fire magic? It wouldn't make sense. Except it actually does, because remember, Whiteout is primarily targeting magical power from a specific person. Hey, Editing Chris here. Just wanted to let you know that I forgot to mention that they could use Whiteout for both targeting specific people as well as large groups of people. I just forgot to mention that. Thank you. We've seen this with Toka. We've seen this in the Elantar arc. Every single instance of someone whiting out magic, each of these characters have had a singular magic attribute, and by doing this, it takes away a good chunk of their power. So what we can assume is that Duke essentially took Natsu's fire powers with Athena too, assuming that his Lightning Dragon mode was just a utilization of his fire magic in a different way, or the lightning came from his fire dragon magic, which in a sense, he wouldn't be wrong, because Lightning Flame Dragon mode is essentially a combination of the lightning magic that Natsu devoured from Loxus back on Tenro Island and made it a part of himself with his already base fire magic. Meaning that the assumption would be that, obviously, Duke would assume that it's just a utilization or a spin-off of his magic power. He did not know that Natsu ate the lightning magic of Loxus in order to achieve this form. He most likely assumed that he unlocked it through some other ways. And honestly, it would make sense to assume this because Duke doesn't really know too much about Fairy Tail and their history based off their interactions, so how would he know how Natsu gained this new form? Heck, he was surprised Natsu even had this transformation to begin with, which him taking his fire dragon powers would make sense because he didn't know that it was a separate thing, as Dragon Slayers have been confirmed in this series to be able to access dual element modes. If they devour another element, that can be complementary to their own. And since it was a different source of magic, Natsu most likely had the lightning power within him, but he never really used it on its own, as he is a fire dragon mage. He uses fire dragon magic, and flame dragon mode is just an amp of his base stats. So he never really had any real reason to use lightning dragon mode. Now, do I think that it would have been nice to have some foreshadowing that he would be able to utilize this form on its own? Yes. However, I do not think the form itself is an ass-pull, primarily because there is precedence that Duke didn't know that it was a different power that he gained and added upon himself, and most likely assumed that it was a spin-off of his Fire Dragon magic, which is why only his Fire Dragon Slayer magic was taken and not the Lightning Dragon Slayer magic that he got from Loxus. And since the idea of Natsu using just the lightning never really occurred to him prior, and it wasn't until shortly after his powers were taken away and it was stated that his fire dragon powers were taken specifically, Natsu obviously would realize that he could use his lightning powers, and the thought never occurred to him. Which also answers the question that I've had with Dragon Slayers, if they can utilize just the second element that they consume by themselves, and that question was answered. meaning that Gajo can use base shadow powers, and Sting can use shadow powers as well, based off of their previous iterations. But, as I stated, while this form does kind of make sense, the problem was the execution and the build-up to it, which was non-existent. Now, when it was revealed that Natsu was off-screen, and then Athena 2 casually takes out the rest of the team here at Gold Owl, we assumed maybe Sabretooth will come in and save the day. Maybe Celine could show up and teleport to Malina there and give her assistance with Diablos, because they're still in the spectrum of needing to be relevant. But obviously Sabretooth would be the best option. However, no. Natsu gets back up and he unleashes his Lightning Dragon mode. With no real build-up or preamble to the idea that this was even possible, obviously would think it was an asshole, considering that it was literally 2 chapters after his off-screen reveal that he ended up getting back up with a new form, and seemingly one-shot Duke, or at least dealt a strong enough blow where he lost his grip on the Dragon Slayer magic, and Rogue and Wendy seemingly got their powers returned to them. How things are going to play out, I have no clue. But it's no hyperbole that Mashima didn't really plan this section all the way through, or at least give it the proper attention to detail that it would have needed in order for it to feel natural. It just felt like he needed to get Natsu up and running again so he can take on Duke without having them to retreat or have somebody else come in and save the day earlier than probably what he was originally planning. I could also think that maybe he wasn't giving this part of the story the attention it deserved because he's also working on Eden Zero and Dead Rock right now, and both of those have been fairly consistent with the last batch of chapters. Trust me, if you haven't been reading those series, it's been doing very well. Eden Zero is getting very intense right now, and Dead Rock is developing its own plot line. But I feel like for 100 Years Quest, it's kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of its quality with this arc. There have been some good moments, but it just doesn't feel like it has that same oomph it had with the previous arcs, even though the setup was not too bad, and Duke seemed like a very interesting villain. Now, obviously, we could get a whole bunch of stuff further elaborated on, and Duke most likely was not one shot and he's going to get back up, maybe use his own powers, but still, the form itself was not given proper time or build-up. Now, let me just do a whole quick fan rewrite thing, which here's what I would have done to unleash this new form. Have Natsu get back up, but don't have him immediately use the lightning mode. Have him try and fight Duke or Athena with no magic whatsoever, have him get beaten down over and over again. And then, as he fights, he realizes that something's off. He still feels a bit of magic, and he realizes, with remembering that Duke took his Fire Dragon magic, that gives him the idea that maybe he might still have some of Loxus' power within him, and thus slowly but surely some lightning begins to pour out, and it won't be overly strong since it's by itself, but will gradually get stronger over time as Natsu begins to tap more and more into that lightning power until he eventually fully gets used to it and unleashes his Lightning Dragon mode. And it will be most likely established that it won't be as powerful as his base form with his Flame Dragon mode, or even just base Fire Dragon mode since he's not used to using it, but it'll be a power boost, if not maybe even a speed boost because it's lightning. But still, just that alone, it's not perfect, but it's better than what we got in the chapter. And I feel like if there was a bit more build-up or foreshadowing about being able to utilize the other element that a Dragon Slayer absorbs, but also having some more desperation upon Natsu's part, and maybe fanning it out maybe like 1 or 2 more chapters, it probably would have been a lot better in terms of the execution, and we wouldn't really be that upset about it, and we probably would be okay with it. At least most of the fan base would be. I'm still okay with the form. The execution was just not great. But that's honestly just my opinion on everything involving this form and its relevancy in the story. My one concern is that it's just a one-time thing, and that Natsu will never just use Lightning Dragon mode again. It's a very sick and cool transformation, and I really want to utilize that more. I feel like if Majima's going to do anything based off this, have Natsu use the lightning powers by himself every now and again if he needs to get a different variety into his fighting style, because I do think Natsu has gotten kind of stagnant in his fighting style, and I feel like adding this new transformation to it would kind of put a bit more variety, at least for me. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about the form? How do you feel about the execution? Do you think it was bad overall, or do you think that if it was executed better, the form reveal itself would have been not too bad and you would have liked it all in all? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and you want to see it more. And again, don't worry, I believe after this video comes out, I will most likely have my next Fairy Tail Friday video covering primarily the recent chapters of the manga, where I go a bit more in depth on the actual story going on in the manga. So look forward to that. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.